Hi, welcome to Simply Debbie Sue's Southern Whispers, and welcome to December. I have some faith-filled, heartwarming stories prepared for you this month that I think that'll fit with this holiday season. So let's get right into the introduction of this week's story. There are winners that test the pantry, and then there are winners that test the soul. In the year of 1907, on the edge of Cedar Creek, where the prairie stretched like a prayer, waiting to be answered, one family faced that kind of cold that bites through bone and belief. This is the story of Jonas and Ruth Carlson, their little ones wrapped in quilts and hope, and the quiet miracles that showed up in molasses jars and wagon wheels. It's a tale of faith that didn't flinch even when the firewood ran low. This story is called Winter at Cedar Creek. The prairie wind had teeth that year. It was the winter of 1907, and the Carlson family, Jonas, Ruth, and their three young'uns, were tucked into a sod house on the edge of Cedar Creek, where the land rolled flat and wide like God's open palm. Snow came early, thick and mean, and by December, the pantry shelves were down to cornmeal, dried beans, and a single jar of Ruth's blackberry preserves. Jonas had built the house with his own hands, stacking sod bricks and sealing the roof with tar and prayer. It wasn't much, but it held warmth like a hymn holds hope. Every morning, he chopped wood with frost in his beard and a verse in his heart. The Lord is my strength and my shield. Ruth kept the children bundled in quilts stitched by her mamas back in Tennessee. She read them Bible stories by lantern light, her voice soft and steady even when her hands trembled from cold. Little Eli asked one night, "Mama, does God know it's cold?" She smiled and kissed his forehead. "Baby, God's been through worse. He's right here with us." January brought blizzards that buried the barn and froze the creek solid. The cows stopped giving milk. The hens laid no eggs. Jonah tried to hunt, but the rabbits had gone scarce and the deer stayed deep into the woods. One morning, he came back empty-handed and dropped to his knees by the hearth. "I don't know how to feed them, Lord," he whispered, "but I know you do." That night, the wind died down, and in the morning, Ruth spotted something out the frosted window, a wagon, creaking toward him through the snow. It was old Mr. Whitaker from the church in town, bundled in furs and carrying sacks of flour, dried apples, and a jug of molasses. "Felt the Lord tug on me," he said, setting the food down. "Woke up with your family on my heart." Ruth cried over that molasses like it was gold. Jonas hugged Mr. Whitaker so tight the man nearly dropped his hat. The children danced around the sacks like it was Christmas morning. The rest of the winter was still hard, but they made it. One biscuit, one prayer, one sunrise at a time. And when spring finally came, the prairie bloomed like it had been waiting for them. Wildflowers stretched across the fields, and Cedar Creek ran clear again. Jonas planted corn with Eli by his side. Ruth hung quilts on the line and sang hymns into the breeze. And every Sunday, they walked to church in town, hand in hand, hearts full, because faith had fed them, determination had carried them, and God, well, He never left. The closing reflection of this story is, hard seasons don't mean God's gone silent. They just make His whispers easier to hear. Winter at Cedar Creek reminds us that provision doesn't always come in abundance. It often arrives in just enough. Enough flour for a biscuit. Enough warmth for one more night. Enough grace to keep going. And sometimes the Lord sends a neighbor with a wagon full of answers to prayers whispered by a frozen hearth. Because when faith holds fast, spring always comes. Thank you for listening to this week's story. Come back next week for another one.